Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com here in the Built with Chocolate Milk Coaches Lounge at the THSCA Coaching School and Convention with the head coach of the Galena Park North Shore Mustangs. It is Coach Jon Kay. Hey, Coach, what's new?
Not much, just ready to get it started, and this is always a good little segue into the season, so we're excited to be here.
Anything notable happened to you in the last, 9 months or so?
I had a cat. We found a cat.
Cool.
And took that in,
Cool.
and so that was pretty exciting. And, I bought a couple new shirts. But
That's
beyond
great.
that, beyond wardrobe and my new cat, it's been pretty ho-hum.
Yeah, you also won a state championship on a Hail Mary. I don't know if you remember that. I have not stopped watching that play. This is a question, this is 100% true. I've been wanting to ask you for 9 months or 8 months, ever since the play happened, is that after the game, and I know it is craziness, as A.J. Carter hauls in the game-winning touchdown to win the state championship in a play I still can't believe. But Sarah Merrifield goes after for Fox Sports Southwest, goes and sticks a microphone in your face, as we media are wont to do. And she says, what's one word to describe this game or this play, this moment? And you said North Shore. I'm sorry, I know that's 2 words. I'm sorry, but North Shore. What do you mean by that? I've always wanted to know.
I just felt it was a good representation of the community, of our kids, of the way that they work, and just a belief to the very end to just keep fighting. And so, again, I thought it was much bigger than football. I thought it was just the way that these kids have been raised and the things that we're able to take advantage of in our program, the ability to never lose belief and keep fighting. And I think it's so indicative of not just our kids, but our entire community.
Can you take me through that play from your perspective, from what because the thing is, I'm sure you've been in games like that where it's like, all right, we got one play, let's throw it in the end, see what happens.
Yeah.
What, from your perspective, how did that unfold?
Well, I mean, it was an interesting thing. Obviously, they went down and scored, and stopping the 2-point conversion was huge. I think that's one thing that gets overlooked a whole bunch, because that kind of gave us a spark on the sideline of our guys. They burned a timeout after the score, and so it was an ability for us to talk to our guys. This is huge. If we can keep this, field goal wins it. We feel confident in our kicker and our field goal unit. So this is big, and so when we got the stop on the 2-point conversion, I think the kids on the sideline started to look at each other like, okay, we've got a shot. And I thought our offense did a great job of working the sideline down, and we get that huge holding call. But at that point, we're playing for the field goal, all the way down from Jump Street. We're playing for the field goal, and we get the holding call. We've got a timeout that we were able to keep based on the way that they were working the sideline, and there's nothing left. We burned the timeout, talked to it. Initially, we were going to go to a play that we called Boise, which is multiple laterals, more along the lines of the Miami Dolphins against the Patriots this past year than anything else. But I think you could see it in our kids' eyes that there just wasn't the confidence that we hadn't repped that to the level that we'd repped the Hail Mary. And Coach Gaston up in the box said, no, let's go Hail Mary. And, you kind of see some heads nod and, go back. And at that point, I literally took off my headsets, put them over on the bench, because I'm a spectator like everybody else. There's nothing left to do at that point but watch and see what our kids can do. And, it was Jordan Rebels, who's now at Texas State, is going to be a phenomenal player that, as I put my headsets down and start walking to the sidelines to watch, said, Coach, man, I believe in this. I believe in the process. He's smiling. And, that for me was kind of like a wake-up of, let's, we got a legit shot here. And I thought they executed it perfectly from the way Demetrius stepped up in the box to the way that they ran the bender to the middle field to pull just a phenomenal safety from Duncanville out of that play. And then, of course, AJ and Shadrack, 2 guys that, if I had to bet my life on a guy catching the ball, it'd be one of those 2 kids. So we had everything that we wanted at that point. And at that point, it was a matter of those kids executing it, and they did. And, the rest is history.
The thing that stands out to me, and I tell people this all the time, is that if you remove that last play, let's just say pass falls incomplete, like most Hail Marys do. That's still an unbelievable football game. Like, you talk about 2 heavyweights throwing haymakers at each other. Yep. And I know, in reading what you've said to other outlets and things like that, I know you just have a ton of respect for that Duncanville team and that Duncanville program. And I mean, just speaking as a neutral observer, just what a joy it was to watch those two elite teams worthy of playing on the biggest stage just duke it out like that. It was such a I don't have a question. It was awesome. Is what I'm saying.
No, I mean I think you hit the nail on the head. We knew that going in. People asked, and it was North Shore for us. It was spring ball. It was like playing against North Shore, and they were so athletic, so physical, so strong, and we got nothing but respect for those guys. And I hear people all the time talking about some ill will between the two. They may have it. We don't. I mean, we've got nothing but respect for Duncanville. Unfortunately, in our region, there hasn't been any talk about a rematch because there's a lot more work in our region, and there's too to before we start talking about that. So, but like you said, nothing but respect, and just so honored to be part of that.
And I know you guys obviously you probably field a team this year.
Yeah, we're gonna have 11 out there. So
good for you guys.
Yeah.
We have you on the secondary cover of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Of course, we're stoking the fire of Duncanville versus North Shore. My bad. But I'm interested. How do you feel like? Because a lot of the familiar faces from last year's team, Zach Evans, Demetrius Davis, Shadrick Banks, are all back. Defense has a little bit of rebuilding to do, or a little bit of reloading to do, so to speak. How do you feel like this team may be different from last year's team?
I think that that's yet to be determined, and that's the big thing. We've got some kids coming back that are highly regarded, and for good reason. What we lost was some really, really good high school players, and in our sport, that's the glue of every great team. And so obviously a lot of the press is going to go towards these guys. They're going to be big-time Power 5 Division I guys, but the wins and losses are coming from those great Texas high school football players, and we've got a lot of those guys to replace. And I feel like our staff has done a phenomenal job of developing kids and getting them ready. We had a great spring. We've had a great summer. And so, but until they line up against the Cadies and the Ridge Points and the Westfields of the world, that's yet to be seen. But I feel like we've got a nucleus of kids that can maybe get us over the hump and get us to the experience that we're going to need.
Why is Galena Park so special for you? Because this is I'll speculate here. I'm sure you've gotten phone calls to go to other places, and here you are at Galena Park, and you seem so inextricably connected to this program, this community. What is it about it that's so special to you?
Well, I think, people talk all the time about having a fit, being a fit somewhere. And a lot of times that's lip service, or it's just, another one of those things that people say. But I think that's the biggest thing is that, it's a community that I could have easily been raised in. And I think our kids could have easily been raised in the community that I was. So there's a shared philosophy and shared value there of not just myself, but the parents. And it's a great place for me to be. I think there's some trust between our community and me, and vice versa, because I think we all know who we are at the end of the day and when the bullets start flying. And so, the reality is I think a lot of people see that. So I don't get calls, to be perfectly honest with you, because I think people see this is where that guy belongs. And that's not to say that you don't have opportunities later in the future. And I'll tell the kids the same thing. Make sure you're doing whatever's in your best interest. But it's a great place for me to be. It's a great fit. And I think all of us, including me, benefit from that.
We are obviously very excited about your North Shore Mustangs. We have them ranked number 1 in Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Sorry about that. I'm interested kind of in how you maintain expectations, because obviously I think there's a lot of programs that go out there, they win a state championship, especially in the manner that you did, and they say, cool, awesome, we did it. Hanging up. How do you keep that sense of urgency going into the next year?
I think it's just what we've been doing here and since I've gotten there, and it's not a focus on winning championships. It's not even a focus on winning games. It's a focus on improving and getting better. And that was huge for us in 2015 when we started off 1-3, and everybody wanted to know, I bet, how's the locker room? Are you keeping those kids together? Well, it was never about winning. So, because we don't talk about that, there was never an issue with morale. It was always about, here's where we're getting better. It's what we need to do, and we were able to build on that, and it wasn't a problem. And that was an example of how it worked for us when we weren't real successful early on. And I think the same thing works for us with a successful year like we've had. We never talked about winning a state championship, going 16-0, or winning games. It's about being improving and getting better. And so we just continue to preach that. And whether or not we won a state championship or we go 5-5 and don't make the playoffs, the focus is on improving. And we've done that this off season and this spring and this summer. And hopefully that'll continue in the fall.
Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's talk about your hair.
Yeah, it's a direct result of a overtime win against Westlake in 2015 and a Hail Mary win against Duncanville in 2018. And so there's nothing less for me to lose. And, so I'm going to fight a lot of battles, but this was one battle I'm through fighting. And here I am.
You know what? Respect.
Yeah.
You have a lot of respect for the Dave Gables there. It is Jon Kay of Galena Park North Shore joining us here on Texas Football Today at the THSCA Coaching School and Convention. One last thing to get to is the Dick's Sporting Goods Wheel of Questions.
All right.
Give this thing a spin. Whatever it lands on, you are legally bound to answer. DickSportingGoods.com is sponsoring this wheel, whether they like it or not. All right. You've played in a lot of big stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have one that you haven't played in that you've always wanted to go to? You've always wanted to play in?
Yeah, I want to play in the Puncher Dome. I want to go to Mason,
buddy.
And I think my bucket list right now is some of those historic community stadiums in Texas, which is making this game great. So I happen to see that you may be involved in a game at that stadium, but that's one that I'd really like to experience.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. That's actually a big night of football because I believe you guys are going to open with Katie on ESPN. Mm-hmm. I know A&M and Texas State are going to play on one of the family of networks there, and then on Fox Sports Southwest it'll be Mason and Wall. So I'll send you a tape.
Yeah,
of the game.
You'll
be a little busy that night.
I'll be a little bit busy, but we'll make time.
Coaching against a Hall of Honor coach and Gary Joseph.
Yeah,
what fun it'll be.
Yeah.
Coach K, again, congratulations on last year. Best of luck this year. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.